There is this idea that's been summed up various ways, but the one that I kind of like is this. It is, hard times make good men make easy times make bad men make hard times. It seems like a kind of an odd thing, but the point that it's making is that there's this kind of cycle. Well, right now we are in the good men having made easy times, and what's happened is a lot of people have lost a distinction, an important distinction, and the distinction is between need and want. And that's what I want to talk about today on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and today is Monday, the 14th of March of 2022. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page. That would be the Kurt's Religion and Politics page. On Facebook, on Kurt's Religion and Politics.locals.com, on Minds, MINDS.com, on the Kurt's Religion and Politics group there. I said page, I think, yesterday for some reason. On Parler, on Gab, on Twitter, and anywhere else you may be finding me today. The subject for today, again, is going to be need and want. Let me go through my notes to kind of explain sort of what I'm talking about with the idea of sort of clarifying that in the free discussion piece afterwards. I was reminded yet again just yesterday, it was actually the day before yesterday, whatever, about the very important need to make a distinction, particularly for children, but for others as well, between need and want. My son was in a situation where he could have just as easily done a given thing as not, yet he wanted me to do that thing for him. Emphasis on the word wanted, want, right? It was a teachable moment, to quote the great Rush Limbaugh. Rush used to talk about teachable moments all the time. We went back and forth for a few minutes, my son and I, before I finally got him to recognize what he was asking of me was a want, not a need. In the end, for that moment, it was clear in his mind what I was trying to get him to understand. I firmly believe, barring a minor miracle, a bunch of folks are going to have to learn this lesson in some pretty harsh ways. Do you need water to drink? Do you need it? I think to a degree the answer is yes. Do you need food to eat? Same answer. To a degree, yes. That said, there's a huge difference between even something like McDonald's and some sort of quick protein and other nutrients. Ask even the people of South Korea over the age of 40. You'll quickly learn what I mean. My former wife, a Korean born and largely raised in country, used to have as a staple kimchi and rice. That was what she ate a lot of the time. She was thin but relatively healthy. Maybe once a day, sometimes twice, if sometimes not even once a day, she would eat some sort of protein. That might be something like meat, eggs, or tofu. The point is, McDonald's did not tend to generally be on our menu at all. Not at all. We're at a point where it looks like we could be coming back to some sort of normalcy from the COVID-19, quote, crisis, end of quote, where at least part of the supply chain is concerned. Okay? If that doesn't happen, though, some folks are in for serious schooling on the difference between need and want. It won't make me happy to live that distinction, but I'll most likely be able to do it. How will you fare where this is concerned? Quick notes today. We didn't do a lot of notes. I know, fortunately I'm not on what Dan Bongino calls terrestrial radio, because I know periodically I probably almost hit that 5-second mark. But the point that I'm making here is simple. My son, we went to Target last night. I hate to name places by name, but I've already done it, so we'll stick with it. And he asked me, what should I buy? Because he's gotten into the habit of buying a toy every time he goes to Target. Now, you can be sure that he's to the point of boredom with this. He's not even really to the point of need anymore. Want anymore. A lot of times he just buys something to have it. What he wants is to buy something. He doesn't even look at the thing that he's buying and think, that's something I really want. And I told him, a week from now, you're going to forget that thing. And I'm trying to wean him of that habit of every time I go to the store, I have to buy something. We went out, we got dinner last night, took it home, did a little bit of prep work and ate. And when we go out to do that, we often go to the store as well. And last night I went out and I do what I normally do. I traipse through the food looking for anything that I might need or that I might want, either one. And I found nothing. And I tried to get him to understand, look, there's absolutely nothing I needed today, and really nothing I wanted either. What you need are things that are going to keep you alive, keep you from dying of exposure or sunburn or getting eaten by animals or whatever, right? These are things that you could couch as needs. Most people have a very, very difficult time separating from those things, those considerations you would count as wants. They don't realize that McDonald's meal that you're eating, you don't need that. You don't need that. You can eat beans. You can cook a small cut of meat at home. You can make some sort of stew or something like that. There's all kinds of things that you could make at home if you had a need of nutrition, of nourishment. Water, same thing. How much water do you need? Oh, you need 3 gallons. No, you don't. No, you don't. You need just enough to make it so that you don't die of thirst. That's really as much as you need. Anything past that may be beneficial, but it's still technically a want, not a need. We've gotten to the point these days where we think we need things that we just don't. Do you really need a roof over your head? No, it's really nice to have for sure, but you don't. Do you really need the temperature at a constant 78 or 85 or whatever you choose degrees? No, you really don't. Trust me, I can tell you this without a problem. I have a house that gets hot in the summer and cold in the winter, and that's all there is to that. You need to come to understand, we need to come as a people to understand the difference between need and want, and we need to realize that if we defer our wants, we will often be able to, or we will almost always be able to provide for our needs, and lots of times we will be able to provide things that we want, even things that we look at and go, boy, I'd really like that, and we don't realize that we're actually stopping ourselves from getting it by getting things that we think we want. And that's another thing. There's even a difference between what I think I want and what I want. I told my brother the other day, and I've said this before, I'm that guy who goes into the grocery store, finds something that he thinks that he wants, or into a store, finds something he thinks that he wants, plops it into his cart, walks around the store, walks back to where he found the thing and puts it back because he realizes he really doesn't need or want that thing. That's me. That's the kind of guy I am. And I highly suggest to you that you get to be that person who really, really thinks, do I need this? Okay, now do I really want this enough to lose whatever other resource I would have to lose in order to gain it, to get it? Or is it worth keeping the other resource instead? This is what we need to do. And I'm going to tell you again, if things keep going the way they have been recently, though they seem to have improved a little bit, but if they keep going the way they have been recently, you're going to start to realize that daily trip to the store, that's not a need. That's not a need. That daily trip to get food, that's not a need. Because gasoline's going to be so expensive, you won't be able to afford it. Same thing with buying things that you don't need, like food at restaurants and so forth. I love to do that, but I have to tell you that that's not a need, it's a want. That's something I prefer to do. Okay, I think I pretty much got my point across. There's a difference between needs and wants, and you need to recognize that that is the case. This has been the Daily Summation from Kurt's Relgion and Politics. I'm your host, Tom Kurt, and today is Monday, the 14th of March of 2022, that beginning of the work week for many folks. It means tomorrow will be Tuesday the 15th, what is payday for a lot of people, should be for me. I may get my pay today. I haven't even looked. But Tuesday the 15th of March of 2022. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloutHub, on my Facebook page. That's a Kurt's Relgion and Politics page on Facebook.com. on Kurt's Religion and Politics.locals.com, on mindsandmynds.com, typically on the Kurt's Religion and Politics group there, on Parler, on Gab, on Twitter, wherever you happen to be finding me. Remember, Rumble is sort of my preferred platform at this point. You can give me a boxing glove or a rumble if you choose to do that, or a plus or a minus, which is essentially a like or dislike, thumbs up, thumbs down, which you have on just about every platform that I know of, particularly where I'm actually putting my video content, not the standard social media stuff, but the ones that actually host videos. You can comment on my content, and I will do my best to pay attention to that. If I think it's reasonable, I will work to respond to whatever it is that you've said on my content. If you put advertisements or bad stuff that will hurt other people, chances are very good I will happily delete that. Otherwise, as I say, I'll try and look at it. I may comment on it, and I will probably give you some sort of feedback, like a thumbs up or thumbs down, like dislike, in order to show you that I have seen what it is that you've put out there. I may not always get the chance to see it, but I certainly will try and do that. I have been talking today about need and want, and tomorrow we're going to talk about this interesting phenomenon that I've encountered that is going to sound like I'm paranoid until I kind of explain why that's not the case, and it is social grouping. It's something that I've noted that I really have been wanting to discuss now for a while, because I think it would be useful for people to understand that. Hope you're having a good day today. Hope everything is going well for you, and hopefully we will see you again on Tuesday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This podcast was created on Monday, the 14th of March of 2022. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.